And I want to thank you for welcoming me here. And you're getting ready to hear something that I'm going to tell you something. A long time ago, yes, I was an assistant. I'm not a doctor. You understand that? I'm what's called an SA or a surgical assistant in open heart surgery, but I've seen it all. I work with the best in the world. The best absolutely in the world. A guy by the name of Dr. John Kirkland in Birmingham, Alabama. He came from Mayo Clinic down to Birmingham and changed the whole world of open heart surgery. He saved a lot of people's lives, but they didn't know what they know now. That's the only option that they had. Nobody knew about what we know about now. Something natural, something beautiful, and something that absolutely works. And why do I know that? Because I'm a living product of it. My dad was a doctor. My dad dropped dead at about 39 years old with cardiac ischemia. I'm supposed to be dead, gang. Don't I look good for 89 years old, though? Seriously? I'm 20 years older than my wife, so you know I got to keep going, right? Okay. I'm not going to say any more than that, except she's going to tell you something. Guys, I hope you're listening real close. Because, you know, they advertise all this stuff on TV. They call it ED. Are there kids in the audience? Okay. If you got it there, you probably got it other places, okay? That's all I can tell you. And I'll leave it at that. I want to introduce somebody to you that absolutely has changed my entire life. I'm sorry I get a little emotional, but this is who you're getting ready to hear. I don't know why she married me. I'm just really happy that she did. I was dying at one time, literally dying. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew one day I was going to have that same thing that I used to do, open heart surgery. I was not looking forward to that because it changed everybody that I knew. It changed their personality. It did something to them. And I didn't want to go through that. And she put me on some stuff that began to open my eyes. I've been on some natural things before, you know, but I didn't really know if they really worked or not because she got involved. And let me tell you who she really is. When she got out of medical, by the way, when she went to medical school, she was a concert pianist at the University of Alabama. That's what she studied. She was a music major. Of course she went into medical school, right? Well, she got into medical school, became a doctor. She went into pediatrics, became a pediatrician, and became board certified in pediatrics. You know, that's important, board certification. You understand that? It's important. That wasn't good enough for her. She went back into residency, you know, where they don't pay you any money, they make you work like crazy. Some of you doctors know what I'm talking about. They work you to death, they don't pay you anything. She went back into that torture and spent 5 years in surgery school. Plus, during that 5 years of surgery school, she took 3 more years, which adds up to 8, and studied what you're getting ready to hear tonight to see if it was real or not. And it turned out to be real. Now, after she finished that surgery school, she got board certified. Now, that's important. You're surgeon board certified. That wasn't good enough either. Back into residency we go again. When does this end? When do you like go out and, you know, like be a doctor? She went back in and became a critical care fellow at the University of Illinois in Chicago. And there are children walking the earth tonight, guys, I want to tell you, because she was their doctor. After she finished that wasn't good enough either. So she went back into residency for the 4th time to become a pediatric surgeon, the rarest surgeon on earth. When you go to a pediatric surgery convention, there's like 15 people there. It's crazy. They're rare, guys. Finally, we were just worn out. She has saved my life and my sanity. I just want you to get ready to hear this because this is important stuff. Charlie, I love you so very much. Thank you for taking me into your life. I don't know, Charlie, if you do know that Charlie and I really do have the same Father. Did you tell him you was know? It's our Father in heaven, and I just kind of want you to know that, okay? And I give all glory to God tonight. But without further ado, I want to introduce you to my wife, and my mentor, and the best friend I've ever had in my life, Dr. Elizabeth Owings. Come on.
am I on? Hello? Oh, can you hear me? Everybody hear me? Yay! Okay, good. I can hear me now. Okay. Great to be here tonight. Thank everybody for showing up. It's so exciting for me to get to talk to you live and in person. This is something that really is near and dear to my heart, getting to be able to communicate with people about how to take care of themselves and how to improve their health. There's a very incredible thing about the human body. It said that we're fearfully and wondrously made, and I believe very strongly, if you break your arm, you know good and well that you don't expect to live the rest of your life with your broken arm. You expect for that arm to heal, don't you? Okay, I'm here to bring you a message tonight that that's not just true for a broken bone. That's true for almost everything else in your body. It starts with the vascular system, because without that oxygen, without that blood, nothing else can happen, can it? If you take a pill, if you take a medication that your doctor has prescribed, it can't get where it's going without a vehicle to take it there. That's the bloodstream. That's the vascular system. That's what we're talking about. We ready to go? Let's go. Let's say no to heart disease. We don't want to be a statistic. First, I want to start with some myths about heart health. I can't have a heart attack. Well, first of all, I feel fine, okay? Oh, yeah, I'm a vegetarian. I eat healthy. Well, we'll talk about that one, okay? I'm a woman. Women don't have heart attacks. We'll address that myth. I'm a runner. I exercise. I run 5 miles every day. We'll address that myth as well. I take statins. My doctor prescribed my cholesterol medication. I take it every single day. We'll talk about that as well. And last but not least, oh, my cholesterol is normal, and maybe I take supplements as well. So I'm healthy. I do all these things. Let's talk about that. Let's start with I feel fine. Heart disease is the #1 killer of Americans, and the first sign is death for between 35 to 50% of them, okay? You're going to feel fine until it's over. We don't want to go there. Charlie's already talked to us about that. It's no fun delivering that check. 80 million Americans have heart disease. It's already present. And we'll talk about when it starts, because it's a lot sooner than you think. All vascular disease I encompass in this heart disease concept, okay? Because we're talking about not just what happens to the heart, but when the blood flow is interrupted or disturbed in the brain, we talk about strokes, carotid disease, strokes, multi-infarct dementia, all these different situations. The heart, we talk about heart attacks. In the legs and the arms, we talk about peripheral vascular disease. Many of you may have family members that may have even suffered amputations because of that disease. They may have chronic wounds that you may not even realize about, okay? Last but not least, impotence or erectile dysfunction, because if there's a problem with the blood flow, there's a problem with the blood flow, okay? All right. We all know about that. The little pill, Viagra, gets a lot of press. The problem that it's addressing is a blood flow problem. So if we fix the blood flow from the place where it's damaged, then we get benefits to the health throughout the entire body, okay? So if you take that little pill, you get benefits in the blood flow for 15 minutes. They've got the long-standing version that will give you benefits to blood flow potentially for a couple of days. But it all wears off and it comes with side effects. I'm talking about healing the original problem. That's what I'm talking about. Sound good? Yes. Okay, great. So next myth, I'm a vegetarian. Okay, I'm going to talk a lot about arginine tonight. And the first thing we got to understand is, where does it come from? It comes from protein. The average diet only has about 3.5 grams of protein, and a vegetarian diet is even lower than that. Not only that, if you go down the aisles of the produce section, generally the produce section is going to have some fairly healthy stuff. But everything that you can buy off the processed, your crackers and your cookies and your candy and all kinds of boxed cake mix is going to have a whole bunch of other stuff that may be suitable for vegetarian. They may be okay with that, but it may be very unhealthy for them. That's what I bring up. Again, the #1 killer of vegetarians, heart disease. I'm getting a little ring. I'm a woman. Well, has anyone been paying attention? What is that red dress campaign about? Heart disease in women. Okay. It's the #1 killer of women once they reach menopause, okay? We're protected while we're younger. Once we reach menopause, we catch up at an alarming rate. In fact, it's much more serious in women because we don't have the classic signs and symptoms. We may not have heaviness or crushing chest pain. We may just not feel well. Maybe it's indigestion. Maybe it's some pain in the neck. Maybe it's something else. And not only that, the emergency room physicians may not be paying attention enough to recognize, hey, this is not someone with bursitis. This is someone whose chest pain actually acts like bursitis, okay? So it's different for women. The heart disease in women is different as well because the smaller vessels, very, very small vessels, may not be able to be stented. Y'all know what a stent is, right? Y'all, I'm from Alabama, I gotta say it. I lived 3 years in New Orleans too, so if I call you baby, don't be offended. It gets in your blood. A stent is where we prop that blood vessel open, okay? For a long time, the cardiologist would just blow a balloon up. Well, they close back down again. Then they realized they had to blow up a balloon and put a little prop to kind of prop that door open. If the vessels are too small or they're in the wrong place, there's nothing they can do. You're just stuck with it. But that's their version. We're going to keep talking. My cholesterol is normal. That's the biggest thing. Half the people with a normal cholesterol, that's their first heart attack. They had a normal cholesterol, okay? The key is it's not what your cholesterol level is, it's what your body's doing with it. It's the balance of cholesterol, it's the amount of inflammation in your body. And it's, we talk about the ratio of good to bad. If the cholesterol is being properly cleared, it's fine. If it's getting inserted into those blood vessel walls and closing things off, that's when we've got a problem. And that's what we want to block. I take statins. Okay, they may decrease cholesterol. They may decrease the risk of death from heart attack. It may increase accidents or suicide. Then it may not mention that. Not to mention the liver damage, muscle damage, kidney damage, and potentially loss of memory. There's a book called Lipitor, Thief of Memory. It's worth a read. A very smart doctor started taking his medicine just like it was prescribed and started having memory loss. Really? I'm a runner. Here's the bad news. Sudden cardiac death kills 300,000 people yearly. A third of them are athletes. The key in the athletics is when they're off the court, they are much less likely to have a cardiac event. When they're on the court or shortly after they leave the court, that's when they're in danger. So being a runner doesn't protect you. I take supplements. Now these are all pieces of the puzzle. I had a graphic on here at one point that had puzzle pieces. Medication, you want to be eating correctly, you want to take your supplements, you want to take your exercise and everything, but they're all pieces of the puzzle, and one supplement alone is not going to save you. So the truth about heart disease is it's not a pill deficiency. It's not the blood pressure pill or the statin pill or any other kind of pill. The truth about heart disease is it starts an inflammation inside your body, and we're going to talk about how to address that and how to open things back up again. As you know, when McDonald's opens up, everything changes, okay? When McDonald's hits Africa, look what happened. I had to make sure you were still awake. Okay. Number one killer of Americans is heart disease. The first sign's death, remember, for a third to a half of them. And we're talking about all vascular disease. Blood flow to the heart, blood flow to the brain, blood flow to the extremities, and all parts in between. The vascular disease progression, this is worth getting. If there's a way you can just, I'll point, use your imagination. We're talking about when we're very, very young, everything is smooth, and over time, I better stand back here, over time, things get inserted in here. Now, the truth is fatty plaques start in children, okay? And we discovered in the Vietnam War that vascular disease was already very well established in 19-year-old males. Very well established. It's there. So as things progress, there may be more and more buildup of plaque. There may be a plaque rupture that causes a clot and an immediate blockage, or things may happen slowly over time with what we call sort of obstructive heart disease. So basically, things start out, when you're born, things are maybe clean, but it's not very long after that that the disease progression starts. Fatty streaks in children, 19-year-olds in Vietnam, we learned already had well-established vascular disease, and it just progresses from there. In the 1970s, the advice was we want to limit cholesterol. We traded things out with maybe polyunsaturated fatty acids. Maybe we traded it out with carbohydrates. The advice of the American Medical Association and the cardiologists basically made us the fattest fattest nation on the planet because suddenly we were eating all these carbs. We may have been cutting down on fats, but we weren't doing things that were necessarily healthy for us. In the 1990s, the nitric oxide pathway was discovered. The moment you've all been waiting for. We all came here, we've heard about nitric oxide. Now, what is this stuff? It's been studied for years and years, and we didn't know what the molecule was at first, but we knew there was something in the body that made blood vessels relax and open up, okay? That's your blood flow, the relaxation and opening up. When we learned it was nitric oxide, that was very important, but for years, all we knew to call it was relaxing factor. It came from the endothelium, so we call it endothelial-derived relaxing factor. It's gone in seconds, and that's why it was so hard to pinpoint. But when they did discover what it was in 1998, it was worthy of the Nobel Prize in Medicine. They've done their homework. They figured out what it was. And just read this press release. 3 Americans won the Nobel Prize in Medicine for discovering that the body uses nitric oxide gas to make blood vessels relax and widen, a finding that could pay off in treatments for heart disease. So what is the endothelium? I've been introduced as a doctor before. Sometimes I call myself a medical translator because I like to think I can speak English as well as speak science and make things understandable. It's just the lining of the blood vessels. That's all it is. It is about we've got 100,000 miles of blood vessels in our body, and all of them are lined by this stuff. So the opportunity is for anything that's going to help them relax and widen is going to improve blood flow. Where? Everywhere. And that's what I like about this. If we spread all these cells out, it would cover between 4 and 8 tennis courts in surface area. So it's huge. When it functions right, when it's normal, when it's healthy, it's smooth, nothing sticks, slides off it like satin, okay? That's what you want. When we're sick, when we've got inflammation in the body, it's going to act like Velcro instead of Teflon. We want Teflon, but when it's sick, it acts like Velcro. All those little oxidized cholesterol molecules are going to be sticking, and they're going to be actually inserted in there, causing trouble. That's what we want to get away from. The book that's pictured here is called The Cardiovascular Cure. It's by a doctor, a PhD by the name of John Cook, and he's done mucho research on this. He called his book The Cardiovascular Cure. That's how confident this researcher was in the importance of it. So we talk about if the endothelium is dysfunctional, the lining acts like Velcro. It's going to be worsened by abnormal cholesterol profile, by diabetes, by obesity. Some people have something in their blood called homocysteine that's elevated levels. All of that's going to be problematic, but it's improved by nitric oxide, which is made in your body by arginine. What can stick? The platelets, like I said, that cholesterol, and that's what we don't want to happen. But the other book to explain is going to be something called No More Heart Disease, written by Lou Ignarro. He's one of the men that won the Nobel Prize in Medicine. So I'm just letting you know, the smart scientists have been pointing to this for quite some time. What does this nitric oxide do? In the short term, it relaxes and widens things, okay? So the blood vessels are open and the blood can flow through. In the long term, though, over repeated exposures, it is helping heal the endothelium. It's making it smooth again. It's making it like Teflon again. If there's a cholesterol plaque under there that's at risk of rupturing, it's helping strengthen that plaque so it's less likely to rupture, okay? Over time, plaque is gradually disappearing from these because of what's going on with nitric oxide. Arginine, or L-arginine, it's the same thing. It's an amino acid. We get some in foods. Your body makes some from citrulline. But the point is, arginine is what your body needs to make nitric oxide. It takes one, it makes it right into that nitric oxide. I already said we don't get enough in our diets. We don't have enough in our bodies. And Dr. Ignarro himself said we need 5,000 milligrams a day. And most of the studies have been done with between 3,000 and 6,000 milligrams a day. So at this point, a lot of people ask, if this is so big, if this is so important, why didn't I know about it? Why is this news to me at this point? And all I can tell you is you're not, you don't spend your days on PubMed and doing medical online research like I do, like a lot of people do, but it's out there. 35,000 articles alone in the medical journals regarding that nitric oxide, or back when it was called that endothelial-derived relaxing factor. Now, what are you up against if you're trying to learn about something natural? You've got the advertising budget of Big Pharma, which is $2.7 billion in 2013. So you've got Big Pharma telling you what you need to take, or you could, go to school for a long time and learn to do research about this. That's why you don't know. That's what we're up against. The other thing to know is this is cutting edge. This is just a little graphic to let you know. If we've got a healthy blood vessel, it may look one way. If the artery is narrowed, it's going to be tightened up just a little bit and there may be some plaque in it. But just to relax things, it's going to relax and open things up a bit for us so that we get that improved blood flow. So medically published clinical studies include the possibilities. I'm just going to read through these so you've got an idea. Lower blood pressure, that was in Lancet in 1990. You may have heard of that journal. Lower cholesterol and triglyceride, that was the Journal of Nutrition. Improved diabetes, diabetes care. Improved sexual function, that was the British Journal of Internal Medicine. Reduced blood clots and strokes, that was in Circulation. Improved heart failure, American Journal of the College of Cardiology. Improve wound healing. That was in surgery. Improve kidney function. Improve memory and cognitive function. Improve human growth hormone. Improve muscle growth and performance. All of these things are possibilities, and these have been published in the medical literature. So again, arginine is a supplement. You want to get about 5,000 milligrams daily or 5 grams a day. 3 to 6 is what the studies have been done on. For the best results, you want it combined with other nutrients. There are also higher risk populations I want to talk about briefly. Diabetes. 1 in 2 people with diabetes are going to die of heart disease. And the cutting edge way that the scientists are thinking about diabetes now is it's really just accelerated heart disease. That's all diabetes is. The blood sugar part of it's a very small part of the problem. The big problem is what's going on with their vascular system, and that's what we're here to talk about. There's a high rate of amputations. Again, that's the vascular system. Insulin resistance actually worsens what's going on with the endothelium, but arginine itself is going to improve the effects of insulin and improve what's going on with the vascular system. Higher risk populations, African Americans, 5 times higher to have heart disease. The interesting thing is the studies have been shown to show that in America, among the African American population, they have the enzymes to make much, much more nitric oxide, but there's not enough arginine to work with. You've got a nitric oxide molecule over here and an arginine molecule over here. If they never meet, they're never gonna make that nitric oxide. But it has been shown that the supplemental arginine gives them what they need for that optimal function, and people improve rapidly. It can be very rapid in some populations. We want combinations. If you combine it with another amino acid called citrulline, things work much, much better. It's much more quick to work. The citrulline actually drives the arginine towards the reaction of nitric oxide. Understanding combinations. The arginine is going to last several hours in the bloodstream. The arginine is helping make nitric oxide. Nitric oxide promotes that vascular relaxation, but it only lasts about 5 seconds. So even though it's happening over these multiple tennis courts of area, in any one area, it doesn't last very long. So you want to be supporting this with the citrulline, which is going to support the arginine, which is going to drive it towards the nitric oxide. You want cayenne, which is going to act as an antioxidant and anti-inflammatory. For other blood vessel support, you want horse chestnut seed extract. You don't have to remember all of these. There'll be a list later, okay, which is going to help vein and lymph follicles or lymph nodes, the lymphatic vessels empty, as well as reversing swelling, which is mostly going to be the lymph vessels. And last is going to be some red yeast rice extract. You may have heard of that before, which is going to help reduce that unhealthy cholesterol. In brief, that's what I wanted to share with you this evening. I want to thank you so much for being here. I'm going to bring Josh back up, who's going to help organize questions and actually kind of close the gap so we know exactly what we need to do next. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it.